So we took a road trip from Spanish Fork, Utah to Kemmerer, Wyoming. Yes, I know it has an extra ER at the end there. That's how they spell it. Total of 168.9 miles, including our stop in Evanston to supercharge. So I'm just gonna do a quick little review on how Autopilot did, and we'll see how it goes. So the first thing, my biggest gripe right now about Autopilot is this situation right here. If you watch the lines around the car here on the screen, you can see that the car obviously recognizes that the lane has gotten really wide, but for whatever reason, instead of the car hugging the left lane like it should here in a normal situation, it wants to center on that line, and so it just moves over to the right, centers, and then goes back. So I don't really know why Autopilot shut off here. I obviously was paying attention, I took over right away, but it just stopped seeing the lanes. It sees that there's a car coming up around, passing us here, and then all of a sudden the lanes show up again. It did a really good job, especially through these little windy sections. The car did basically perfectly going around these. Didn't slow down at all. I didn't feel uncomfortable about that. It just did a really good job keeping centered on the lane. All right, so we're 29 miles in, and again, I don't know what happens here. It's doing great, and then it just can't see the lines all of a sudden, and then right away I'm able to turn Autopilot back on. Next intervention was 9 miles later. The car basically was just wanting to hang out in the middle here, and I had somebody coming up, so I took over so it would actually get in the right lane and that person could pass me. I actually used Autopilot through the city. It did great because there were no stoplights. And I go another 17 miles in this case. The only reason I intervened was because, again, I didn't have Navigate on Autopilot enabled. So then we go quite a while. We go from 59 miles to 78 miles. Again, I'm not really sure what happened here. Autopilot was doing great, and the car that I was passing, just for whatever reason, Autopilot kicked off. I don't think that I was the one that did that, but maybe I was. I don't know. And then just a little while later, I took over again because I did not feel comfortable with the car taking this intersection. Go a few more miles, and this one I took over again, just briefly. I didn't see that really soon enough. I just swapped lanes, and I wanted to get over for safety. And then another mile and a half later, this corner was apparently really hard for the car. You can see the Autopilot availability steering wheel here on the screen come and go. All right, so it's been about 15 miles here, and I take over again here. Yeah, I'm not even sure why I took over there, but I did. I guess the car wasn't changing lanes fast enough or something, but that was another intervention there. Again, car lost the lanes for just a second. I think it's just due to the road changing colors or something and the snow, but it lost it for just a second, and then I was able to enable it just a few moments later. And then another planned intervention, hopping off the freeway. Quick little overview, 115 miles basically, 101.2 of which were on autopilot, 13.7 not on autopilot, so 88.1% on autopilot, 11.9% off of autopilot. I had a total of 12 interventions, 8 of them were unplanned, 4 were planned, and basically an average of 1 intervention every almost 10 miles. Continuing on, so we're 4 miles in, and it says to turn off cruise control, and so I did, and then I decided, well, I'm actually going to turn it back on. So probably pretty stupid of me, but I did it anyways, and the car handled it fantastically. Another intervention, this semi was trying to swap lanes, so I decided to hit the brake and let him pass me. And this was the part that surprised me the most. So I get off here, I actually pulled over because that car was riding my butt, and then we went for a long time. And the car would tell me to put my hand on the steering wheel. It was, I just wasn't putting enough force on it. But we went 35 miles, something like that. And I didn't have to do anything. It was quite impressive. I'm actually really excited for the next time we drive out here. Normally it's a pretty tedious drive, but autopilot made it way better. So an overview in the end, just pretty simple. Or that second segment from Evanston to Kemmerer, 54.1 miles. 90% of that was on autopilot, 10% was off of autopilot, for a total of 7 interventions, or an average of 1 intervention every 7.7 miles. 19 interventions and 168 miles, an average of 1 intervention every 8.9 miles. I think if I wasn't so concerned and new to the autopilot thing, it would probably be a lot less. I'll do this again when we do our big trip. We're actually going to be going to Whistler, Canada. I'll go over each segment, how much autopilot does, similar to this, and then have an overview of the whole thing. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.